there was a writer by the name of Ivan the Great Major. We have Ivan Major and Barry Briggs. He came to the Whitman Stadium, is that correct? And he was coaching you guys how to ride Speedway?
That's Ivan. This is at Whitman Stadium. Yeah, what happened was, well, first of all, Ivan was the first one to come. And Ivan had won the world championship. I think this is 68. So they brought him to one of the meetings.
He won his third world championship in a row. He came back over to the United States and came over to the Whitman Stadium. And he was the big gun. He was the three-time world champion. And the Americans, they were making lap records every week. There was a new lap record, but they weren't as fast as Ivan's lap. And Ivan got there, and there was riders like Sonny Nutter. And when he saw Ivan, of course he didn't have much respect for Ivan. And he folded his arms, and he looked at Ivan like, "You're not as good as we are."
Nobody that I know of had ever seen anybody ride a Speedway bike like they did in Europe. So we all thought that, they sat down on the bikes the same as we did, and like a flat tracker. And we just felt that, and I remember saying, I don't think anybody can go around the track any faster than the guys that we have because, they're Class C experts. Here's a practice session at Whitman. And this is when we were all sitting down. This is before we knew how to stand up and ride the bikes properly. So you can get a little bit of an idea of how we rode prior to Ivan and Barry showing up and teaching us the proper way. They brought Ivan over, and as I recall, this is my own memory, so could be a little shaky, but it was a long time ago. They kept him away from the rest of the riders, and he had his own. He had a JAP that they had put together for him to ride. He brought his own carburetor, his own whatever he brought, his handlebars, things like that. So they kept him separate. They put all the stuff together on the bike, got it ready to go out and ride it.
Ivan was mad. He was pissed off. He looked down at his Speedway bike to the manager and he said, "I didn't want to ride this JP. I wanted to ride my Jawa," because he was used to riding the Jawa. But there was no Jawa. There was just an old JP at that Whitman Stadium. And Ivan, I think he brought some parts, some handlebars, some seats. He threw a couple of those parts on, but he was angry. He was pissed off because he didn't have anything that he liked on the Speedway bike.
And I remember telling somebody, the guy could be a world champion. I don't care. He's not going to go any faster than anybody else around here. That these guys are Class C experts.
And all the riders, the Americans, they thought, "Oh, this guy's not very good." So they started the JAP, went on the track, and he just opened that JAP up wide open. It was wide. It was screaming down the road, down the racetrack.
Well, he went out to the start-finish line all by himself. He rolled the throttle on, got it wide open, and dropped that clutch, and that motorcycle never took a breath for 4 laps. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen at that time.
It was just incredible. Ivan Major set new lap records. The first lap he went around the Whitman Stadium. All the Americans were like, "Oh my God."
And he was standing up, going into the corners. We had never seen anything like that. And he never shut the throttle off. I mean, it was just wide open. So right then and there, we learned that we were not as fast as we thought we were.
The American Speedway riders were shell-shocked. They were blown away when they saw Ivan Mauger ride and set those world records, those track records on the track at the Whitman Stadium. And Ivan Mauger was disrespected at the very beginning, and after the first night, everybody was worshiping Ivan Mauger.
It was a pretty amazing experience. They actually inserted him into the races that night. They put him like a half a lap behind, and it would take two or three laps, and he'd be by everybody. So then we realized that we had a big learning curve, and it really was also, I think, kind of the separation between the beginning of Speedway, where guys wanted to ride Speedway, and it was a different style altogether than riding a flat track bike. And you almost had to make a decision if you were going to make a career out of this. And you had to either go one way or the other. And so we ended up with some guys that left the Class C flat track, like Rick Woods and Bill Cody, Mike Conley, a lot of guys that were really, really good. They left Class C and decided to ride Speedway, or Class A, which means alcohol. And so it was kind of a dividing point at that time.
Ivan Mauger, he loved the American riders. He really loved those American riders. And he started teaching them how to ride, like Sonny Nutter, teaching Bill Cody, the Bass Brothers. And when Ivan Mauger spoke, people would listen. Everybody sucked up and absorbed everything that Ivan Mauger said. He was the greatest, the most unbelievable rider. He taught these flat trackers a new style of Speedway, a stand-up, sliding, a totally new, different approach than flat track, and it was faster also.
And then when they came out, when Barry came over, Ivan and Barry came out and put on a school at Whitman. Okay, this is Ivan on the inside, Barry on the outside in the black. And they put on an exhibition for us. This was the day that we all learned how to ride a Speedway bike properly. And they took the time to put on a little exhibition for us, riding side by side. It was pretty cool. It says back then we had never seen anything like this. And first thing they did was take everybody's handlebars, flip them up, bend one side up, flatten one side out. And so you're kind of like sideways. It was kind of a weird thing. It's like, what, how do you do this? And then try to tell us how to go in the corner and stand up and all these things. It was quite a dramatic learning curve, to say the least. And then they went out and had an exhibition. So the film that I had sent you is a part of that exhibition. And you have to realize that was the first time that two world champions had ever been on the United States soil, and actually had a school and taught riders from here how to ride, Speedway. It was really very generous on their part to do that. And so the video is it's nostalgic. It's a one of a kind. It'll never happen again. It's only one time you ever have somebody do something first, and this is it.
And we want to thank Mr. Greg Hazerat for the video, because it came from his archive collection. We worked hard today putting this little piece together,